up, guys? Heeking here, bringing you a trailer analysis on Resident Evil 9 Requiem. The game was finally revealed last night at the Summer Game Fest. And yeah, I'm going to be sitting down and going through all the footage we got from the Summer Game Fest regarding Resident Evil and go through it bit by bit and yeah, see what I think and what we can figure out. And of course, before I start, of course, I'm also going to be talking about some of the leaks and leakers and that, and yeah. So before I begin, I want to like and subscribe, and let's start with the Lutix fix stuff. So yeah, clearly he was very bloody wrong, and I've only seen some comments on his reaction to the trailer, but this is what he had to say. For now, I'm not recognizing many things. I'm still very emotional, so I'll analyze it better later. Oh my god, so nice. And then, this game is completely different from anything I have seen and heard. This looks amazing. Okay. So, nothing much to go there. He's saying it looks different to what he said. I honestly think he was trolling us from day one, which is nuts. This guy has been trolling us since May 2024. May 24th. This dude's been trolling us for at least more than a year now. Like, yeah, literally a year, 13 months, I'd say. So I'm gonna give him applause. I'm gonna give him applause for being committed. For being committed. Like, you have to be a really troubled person to act like that. But yeah, I am both disappointed the stuff that he posted didn't turn out to be true, but I'm also kind of happy that this isn't what the game is gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like, the direction this game is going into is not what I thought they would do, and yet it's something I was kind of hoping they would for years, or at least towards the end, and I'm going to explain that in a second. Before I go further, of course, the next leak I'm going to talk about is Andy. Now, he posted a lot of stuff, and none of that panned out. Same with Dusk Golem. You know, Dusk Golem posted up stuff. You know, people are going to be like, oh, he was right, he wasn't right. Dusk Golem said a lot of stuff. You know, like Leon, you know, it's going to take place on an island starring Leon in Singapore, Southeast Asian Sea. And he only recently came out and said, oh, that stuff is from a previous build that was cancelled back in like 2020 or 2021. So either he knew that this stuff was cancelled and he was feeding us lies from last year when he posted that, or he only just recently found out. The only thing he got right, and even then it's like, oh yeah, he got one thing right, is towards the very end, literally a day or two before the Summer Game Fest, he posted that the game would have 9 in its title, and that it would have a different subtitle. It wouldn't be called Apocalypse, and that we would play as a new female character, and that was all he had to say about it. That's it. So he got one thing right, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, he was correct the whole time. It's like, no. If he knew some stuff, he should have just said from the get-go. Let me compare Dusk to another leaker who actually gave us hints and actual spoilers very cleverly. Newsbot. Newsbot was one of those guys that was pretty much the RE expert. And I remember he used to give a lot of legit leaks. And one of my favorite ones was when he gave us leaks for Revelations 2. And he pretty much said, oh yeah, Revelations 2 is going to have you playing as multiple characters, and 3 of those characters you're going to like are returning characters. One that you've played, one that we've never played, and one with that is technically a returning character, but we've never actually seen. So that was, I remember at the time, I was like, who could those characters be? And then of course, it turned out to be Claire, Barry, and Moira. But I'm just saying, that was a case of, and he gave that stuff in advance. He gave that stuff a good few months in advance before the game was revealed. Meanwhile, Dusk is only giving us stuff literally on the day when this game's about to be announced. So he can look like, oh, look, he was right. It's like, no, you got your info literally last second, and now you're acting like you were right the whole time. Get the fuck out of here. You know who was right? Andy from Screamfire Germany. Now, obviously, looking at this trailer and then looking at the stuff that he wrote last year, it doesn't match up at all, period. But he did do the reaction video, and he had the envelope. He said that he was going to have this envelope that's unopened, it's sealed, and he was going to open up in front of everyone and reveal the title of the game. He did that. He opened it up. It was sealed. He opened it up. He took it, showed it to us, opened it up, took it out, and voila, it said Resident Evil Requiem. He was right. He knew the title beforehand, so clearly he does have inside information. And he did go further on to say that the game is going to be a farewell, a very emotional farewell. So immediately it's like, oh, oh, and this is something Dusk himself also said on his Twitter, like this game is going to be a farewell. But the way Andy is making it sound like it's going to be a very sad farewell. So you kind of have to wonder, like, what is a character going to die? Is Leon going to be in this, and is he actually going to die in this? Because Dusk is saying he's the main character. I think, yes, Leon is going to be the main character. If you look on some of the stuff, like the resume for Nick, for example, I think he is going to be in this game 100%. Even Andy said Leon is the main character, so I think he's in there. They're just not revealing him yet for some reason. But yeah, maybe this is going to be Leon's time. But yeah, I was going to talk about, yes, I've always said, at least to myself, that if they're gonna ever do a Resident Evil game that's gonna be like a farewell or like an end to something, it should go back to Raccoon City. Right? It should go back to Raccoon City. They should somehow tie in and go to the ruins of Raccoon City and do some sort of story there with Pacific characters. And it looks like they're doing that, which is crazy. I never thought in a million years they would do that. And it's crazy because they set this up years ago in Resident Evil Outbreak. If you guys remember, in Resident Evil Outbreak, we had that end credit scene where they, you had the people still bombing the area, and they were like, there's still life here. So there was something going on there. They were still doing things then. It's like, this has potential for a future game. And they never went back to that, and now they are. And it's also crazy because they're tying it to Outbreak specifically. This game feels like it's basically Outbreak free. And it's good in a way. It's surprising because I never thought in a million years they would tie it to Outbreak. But here we are. Anyway, guys, enough of my rambling. And let's just get on with it. Remember to like and subscribe again. And yeah, let's do this. Let's go through the analysis. So first up, we got those little teasers. This has no audio. For some reason, I couldn't download a version of this with the audio. So yeah, here in the UK, the YouTube downloaders are blocked for some reason. So damn. Anyway, let's start. So we got the actress who played Lady Dimitrescu promoting the sales for Resident Evil. They focused on Village, obviously, because it was the last numbered main title, technically. Yeah, we got little familiar things from Resident Evil Village here. The chest said, not too sure about that. Okay, what was I saying? Yes, the wine. So there's a big focus on the wine there. As we know, Lady Dimitrescu liked her wine, her blood wine, I think. I think there was a very, there was a specific name to it. And I think there was like a little backstory to it, like in terms of how it was made and developed. Again, I don't know if it was to do with virgin's blood or not. I think it was, like she would take her victims and that. So, I don't know. But there seems to be an importance there, an emphasis on that red wine. Some Resident Evil 4 remake stuff here. Obviously, they're hinting at it. Resident Evil 7 with the director coming back. And those are the Pacific games they focused on. Village, RE4 Remake, and RE7. So why those specific games and why not RE2 Remake? Obviously, that's going to come back in a second, actually. But we'll see in a second. I'm just saying, there's a big focus on those. Technically, it's a focus on all the RE Engine games. So really not out of the realm of surprise there. But yeah, this was the main thing. This was the first big teaser, actually, for RE9. A candle being lit up. And then we get the typewriter, which was like, yep, there we go, it's Resident Evil. And then we got RPD written on there. And we got the words, what is it? Raccoon City Outbreak. That was a nice big hint. Obviously, that's what it's always been referred to as, either the Raccoon City Incident or the Raccoon City Outbreak. But a big emphasis on the Outbreak, which was a nice big hint at, oh yeah, we're getting some tie-ins to Resident Evil Outbreak here. The first zombie from RE1. Big emphasis on that. Clearly a case of we're going back to the OG. Raccoon City map. Big emphasis on Raccoon City. It's giving us the hints. It's giving us the hints here. And then more emphasis on the red wine. Why is there such a big importance on this? And why, and look, we got a silhouette of someone going past. What's going on there? What's that about? And then Lady Dimitrescu is a focus. And they even got the actress there. We got the cake there. Happy 30th anniversary. Now, I will say this. I liked Resident Evil 8, but one of my biggest problems with Resident Evil 8 is I wish they had combined Lady Dimitrescu and Mother Miranda into one character. I feel like that would have worked better for it, because for me, the best part of that game really is the whole castle section. That's not to say I don't like the rest of it. I like it. But the castle section for me was the most memorable, and out of the lords, I feel like Lady Dimitrescu was the best one. We didn't really get a better villain than her. You know, was it Moria, Benevito, Heisenberg was cool, but yeah, I feel like they could have done more. And Mother Miranda was just sort of there in the background. We didn't get a lot of development with her. So yeah, like she was the most memorable part, Lady Dimitrescu. And the fact they got the main actress here doing this stuff here, promoting these parts for the game, it makes me wonder if RE9 is going to have a big tie-in to Lady Dimitrescu specifically. Or maybe this is a big hint that they're bringing the actress back and she's just going to play a new character possibly, which is very, very possible, very possible. But again, the emphasis on the red wine or the blood wine. Not to mention she's wearing all white, so I'm getting Alex Wesker vibes from her as well. Like, could they just use her to play the character perhaps? I don't know, maybe that's a hint. And then we go to the producer. I think this is one of the producers for RE. I think he's the main producer here. So I'm trying to see if there's anything in the background I can recognize. And obviously this video is basically, I think it's 480, so I'm not getting the best resolution here. I am noticing that sweet jacket there, so I'm wondering if that's a hint maybe. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in the background there that I can notice. I can't notice anything else, just the PlayStation console there. But again, he's drinking wine. Big emphasis on the wine drinking. So I'm wondering, I'm very curious, is this a component that's coming back? Yeah, so the wine, yeah, okay. I think they're gonna do some sort of tie-in to Lady Dimitrescu and the wine specifically. There's a big emphasis on that. Why? I cannot say. Again, I'm not too sure about the backstory of the wine. I'd have to go back and read up on it. Again, I'm not too sure if the victims she used were virgins, or if there was a specific reason, or how it was a specific way that she made that wine. But it was a wine that had a title to it, and it looked like from the files you read, this was a wine that she was selling. So is it possible that there were clients that drank this wine? Is there something in the wine that made the clients or her specifically maybe, I don't know, younger, immortal? We know that she had a condition and she had to drink blood like a vampire or like a blood fly. But you know, it makes you wonder, right? And we know she was sort of like her own kind of scientist, maybe, with the way she ended up creating the daughters in a way. So, you know, she did her own things there in her own time. So it makes you wonder what else she got up to when the other lords weren't looking. Because I do feel like there's going to be a big tie into that character specifically, and that there's going to be something to do with the blood wine, maybe. Not too sure, but it feels like a big hint. But yeah, that's really all I can really say about that. Now we're going to look at the main trailer, guys. So first up, the FBI. I don't know what part of the country this would be in. I don't know if the FBI has multiple headquarters or not. But this is the first time I think we're getting a good look at the FBI in the RE universe. I think maybe the first time was Infinite Darkness. Not too sure about that.
Sir.
Clearly this guy is probably the head of the FBI here. And then we get our first introduction to Grace. Messy office. Clearly a person that doesn't get out a lot. So yeah, let's look at this report she's doing. So, incident. Fourth victim of unidentified disease. A deceased individual was discovered at an abandoned government office. So, government office, these people, preliminary analysis suggests the deceased may be linked to a series of probably other murders. So, they're all linked. So, this is the fourth victim, series of disease. Somehow they died. Our government office. Someone's targeting government officials properly. Who? Why? How? Don't know. Not much to say here. This was the big case of, oh, this is the RE engine. Like, this was the point where I'm like, because I was getting Hunnigan vibes from this part.
Grace. Grace.
So we got our name called Grace.
Grace Ashcroft.
Ashcroft. That's the big first hint. Obviously, I didn't hear that part, to be honest. I kind of skipped that part there. I only heard it later on. But yeah, Ashcroft. That should make heads roll. Wait a second. There is a Resident Evil character called Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office.
Oh, Coming.
So she's a bookworm, clearly. Doesn't get out much.
If this is about the report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now. We found another body.
Another body.
One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating.
Fifth one, huh?
Now I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
I need your eyes on the crime scene.
So we know his name, Nathan Dipsey. What does that say? Agent in charge. Does it say senior agent in charge? So I guess he is the senior agent.
Hotel.
The hotel. So they mention a hotel where killings occurred. We get some flashes here. I'm assuming of said hotel. Very derelict. Is that the term you use?
I know. That's where your mother was murdered.
Her mother. Who's her mother? And we get some glimpses here of said character. And yeah, look, she's wearing the red, I guess. What's interesting here, she looks a bit like Jill here, doesn't she? I'm wondering if they're using maybe a similar actress or not. Probably not, but there's some similarity there. And I'm also wondering if this is a case of maybe the game will use a mix of third and first person. Because remember, this is the director of RE Revelations 1 and RE7 doing it. And the original Revelations 1 on 3DS was first person in combat. But I'm wondering if maybe they'll mix it up and they'll bring back the videotapes from RE7. Because I really like those, actually. And it was kind of disappointing we didn't get more of those in the game. But maybe we get tapes back and we're going to be going through tapes from Alisa. And then we get a look at this dude who's potentially maybe one of our main villains or henchmen. Very weird lips, dried lips. At first I thought this might be Leon, but no, this is definitely not Leon. Unless Leon's been infected or taken over or something. Definitely not him.
Alisa died 8 years ago.
So we learned that Alisa died 8 years ago. So if this game takes place in, say, 2025 or 2026, that would put the time of death around, let's see, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 2020, 19, 18. So she would have died around 2018. Resident Evil 7 took place in 2017, I believe, or was it 2015? If you guys remember, Alisa was the first Outbreak character to be properly referenced in the numbered canon games, and that was in RE7. There's a file or report you can find regarding the disappearances in Louisiana regarding the events of RE7, and it's written by the reporter Alicia Ashcroft. So she was set up in that game, and of course, there's another setup like O'Brien's, Clive O'Brien's book, for example. You can find. But it's very interesting they're tying it to that character specifically, and it's interesting they're tying it to Outbreak of all games, because it's been years, and I've always said, like, I would be interested in them bringing Outbreak characters back and integrating them into the main story. So it's fascinating that they're actually doing that now, but it's Alisa. And it also gets me wondering now whether or not they'll do remakes of Outbreak 1 and 2, because they kind of have to. You can't really remaster those games because the continuity is out of whack. The police station, the RPD station is completely different from the one in the 2 remake. The hospital from RE3 is now a Nest lab, for example. The Nest lab in RE2 remake that's different from the lab in the original RE2. So it's one of those cases where they kind of have to remake it as well, because like Marvin, for example, gets bitten by a zombie, a regular one in Outbreak 2, but he gets bitten by Brad as a zombie in the 3 remake. So this is a big case of me saying they really need to remake Outbreak 1 and 2 now. And they need to make it a very story-focused game with, obviously, the co-op or multi-online elements to it, if they can do it, if they could seek to do it. Because I feel like that's a game that they could do very well multiplayer-wise. But yeah, they need to remake that in the style of the previous remakes and integrate it into the remake timeline and storyline. Because now we got literally a character that ties back to an Outbreak character. So now it's more important than ever for them to do that. So yeah, we got another look at Alisa. It looks like very first person here. Maybe someone's following her. Maybe this is a character that we're playing and we're following Alisa. It looks like she's going through... Well, obviously it's a hotel, so I can't really tell. Or the environment, what the environment is overall.
Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
So yeah, another glimpse of potentially the hotel area. Bedroom. This part looks very first person, actually. And then we get these mysterious characters. Don't know who these are. There's 3 mysterious characters here. Can't really say anything about them. Can't get an idea of who they are. We got a door that's opening. That's very RE classic with the door opening, first person view.
Grace.
Shot of the eye. Classic Resident Evil here with the eye. Can't really tell what's going on here. It looks normal for the most part. But yeah, she appears to be captured. She's on a gun ray, I think. Something's clearly happened. Something's gone very wrong. Her hair is sort of falling that way, so I'm wondering, is she lying down or is she upside down? And yeah, she is upside down. We get the confirmation. Yeah, she's hanging upside down. We can see an injury on the chest here. So some kind of, is this a wound that she received? Or did someone do an operation on her? So, more corridor rooms.
Stay close.
Stay close. Stay close. So yeah, I read a comment on YouTube, and someone was pointing out, like, you can hear familiar voices in this. Thank you to that user, by the way. And they pretty much told me that you can hear the voice actors of Jill and Chris in this trailer. Stay close. That definitely sounded like Jill Valentine's voice there. That was definitely Nicole Thompson, or Tompkins, I believe that she's called. Does that mean Jill is in this game? Andy's been saying she's in this game. Dust Golem saying she's not. She was cut. So, and here's the thing, guys. Just because we hear familiar voices, it doesn't mean that it means those characters are returning. They could be playing other characters, because Nicole voiced one of the Dimitrescu daughters, for example, in Village. And Jeff's voice actor, you know, he voiced Carlos in the RE3 remake before he did Chris in RE Village. So, and Nikolai's voice actor did Nikolai and Heisenberg. So it doesn't really mean much. Like, Capcom likes to renew actors for several different roles. So just because we hear Jill in this doesn't mean Jill could be in this. I'm hoping she is, because there's a very specific reason why Jill should be in this game. So we get a wall of missing people. As we can see, it's a mix of female and male, men and women. No sex discrimination here.
They're coming.
Who's that? I can't really hear. I don't know if that's...
I don't.
Okay, this one is interesting. So we get a glimpse of this character. Now, I've got a feeling this probably is our main villain, maybe. Look at the way he's sitting down. Look at the shape of the head. He's wearing leather. So immediately I'm getting Albert Wesker vibes from him. But the back of the head is giving me, I don't know, Spencer elements. Spencer is dead. Wesker killed him. He's dead. Right? For a guy who planned everything out, he went out dying like an idiot, right? I mean, or was it always his goal to tell Wesker the truth and then have his creation kill him? What was the goal there, you know? After Alex betrayed him and that. Like, what was happening there? What was going on? And they never did say what happened to his body either. Like, what happened to Spencer's body? They buried it, they took it, what happened? What went on? And keep in mind, one of the original versions for Resident Evil 4, when they were working on it, I believe there were rumors that you would play as Spencer's son. Like, this was like an unused concept. Does Oswald E. Spencer have a descendant? Is this his descendant? Or is this just a completely different character that just so happens to be wearing leather and leather gloves like Albert Wesker, for Christ's sake? I don't think this is Wesker, obviously. The accent gives it away. It's not Wesker, if anyone thinking. And it probably isn't Spencer, but the way it's framed and that, I don't know. Especially because of what this game is doing in terms of tying back to the OG, going back to Raccoon City. So, what's with that? But I do think this is our main villain here. But I can't figure out what the plan here is, what his goal is.
You're the one that I've been searching for.
He seems like a fanatic.
Special one.
Special one.
The chosen one.
Chosen one.
Miss Ashcroft.
Miss Ashcroft. So is he referring to Alisa? Is he talking to Alisa, or is he talking to Grace? Why is Grace special? Why is she the chosen one? Here's something I'm seeing no one bring up or mention. It's probably nothing important, but it might be to this game's story. Alisa is her mother, okay? And Grace is using her mother's name. Who's her dad? Who's her dad? The white hair and everything makes you wonder, right? Who's her father? Like, is this... Because here's the thing, right? Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 have a very big focus on family. The first, you know, if you sort of try and look at this as a trilogy in terms of its themes, the first game, RE7, is about a husband trying to find and save his wife, and he has to deal with this crazy family that ends up being victims of this creature that's basically a little girl, essentially. And then Resident Evil 8 is about a father trying to save his daughter. So there's a big emphasis on the father and daughter relationship. And then, of course, you've got the main villain who's a mother trying to bring her own daughter back. And then she's got her own messed up family that are like these step-siblings that don't get along. And then now we have RE9. And it's about a daughter investigating the death of her mother. Right? So we're continuing with that family theme here. But the big question comes down to then, where's her dad and who's her father? Like, if this character is special in some way, why? And who else? Like, who is she related to? Like, who? Like I said, who's the dad? Maybe it's not important. Maybe that part's not important. Maybe this guy's just a fanatic and he's obsessed. Don't know. But we'll have to wait and see, guys. We'll have to wait and see. And then we get our first look at Raccoon City, or post-Raccoon City, Nuke. And yeah, we got the crater there. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. You can see.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Don't recognize those voices. I don't know if that's Joe. Maybe I don't know if that's Joe's voice actor.
Seen the same shit. Seen.
See, let's go back. That was Jeff.
Need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
That's Jeff's voice actor. But that doesn't sound like the way it's said, the way that dialogue is said, with that attitude forced in, it doesn't sound the way Chris would speak. Maybe Chris is in this. I don't know. Maybe Joe's in this. I don't know. But I feel like maybe it's just going to be new characters and they're going to be voicing new characters. Or maybe Capcom is playing it smart. And they know that people will recognize these voices and they put it in there as a tease. And they're pretty much straight up saying, yeah, Jill and Chris are going to be in this. I've not heard Leon in this. I don't know if we heard Leon or not.
Please know that you are my hope.
So who's that speaking? You're my hope. Is it Lisa maybe? I don't know. We're clearly going to get some emphasis on that character somehow. Flashbacks, videotapes, possibly. I'm thinking that is something that's coming back. But yeah.
Everyone's gone.
We get a glimpse at the RPD station. We're going back, it seems. We're going back to those ruins. They won't just throw that in there. We're going back to that. And then we get introduced to this new character here.
Stay away from that!
Stay away from him. What's happened to him? It looks like he's been bitten on the neck. And then we get a look at this creature here. This creature coming down from the ceiling. It looks like it's got shackles on its hands. And then we got that mysterious man trying to kill someone that looks like a government agent. And then we get a look at a cop who looks like he's turning into a zombie, perhaps. And then we get a look at what looks like to be a hospital, maybe? Or maybe this is the hotel before it closed or something? Or maybe this is a different area? Shackles, we're hearing the shackles. It's that creature, properly. Yep. It's probably that creature of the shackles. Very resonant of Lisa Trevor. Imagine for a second it is Lisa Trevor, back from the dead, mutated, more horror, more screwed up. That'd be surprising. And then of course we get the title reveal, Requiem, with the 9 hidden there in the queue, very clever. And then we get the title, Resident Evil Requiem. You can see the 9 flash there for us there, so you can see it's flashing. February 27th. Man, I booked the wrong dates. I booked March 20th. I booked March 20th, damn it. I literally booked March 20th and March 27th. That's crazy. Man. I need to go back and change those dates if I can. But yeah, let's go back. So we got the ruins of Raccoon City. We got this guy getting obviously bitten by a zombie. I'm trying to see if there's anything there. There's a door there with like a statue or a puppet. Very resident of a village with the doors and the statue heads and that. This creature looks very licorice in terms of climbing, but yeah, but it's giant. It's massive. But yeah, we got this dude killing these government officials. So I'm thinking someone is going after FBI agents. Why? I don't know. Maybe they knew some secrets. Maybe this person has a big vendetta against the FBI. Maybe we're going to find out the FBI was somehow involved in Raccoon City. And this guy's trying to get revenge. This looks like it might be the beginning of the game, because if Alisa went there with officers to the hotel, it looks like they might get attacked and then she gets kidnapped and then this whole scenario starts up. It does look like it's going to be a big game, because if you're going to be... If the first location is going to be this hotel, right? And then we're going back to Raccoon City. How does that tie in? And how does Leon tie into the story? Is he investigating these deaths? Because they're government officials. He's a government agent. Surely he would be investigating it as well. So I'm assuming he's going to somehow tie into this game. But yeah, the emphasis of returning back to Raccoon City. Like, what's the deal there? What's going on here? And again, Andy said this was going to be a farewell. So I do think maybe this is going to be Leon's final game. If Leon is in it and they're going to close his story off, surely Ada has to come back as well. And they have to close that off together, because you can't make a Leon game and end his story without Ada being involved in some shape or form. So 100% Ada has to be in this. But then also you've got those loose ends with RE8 and that. I think they're not going to do anything with that. I think they're either going to drop that for now, and they're going to do whatever they're doing with this plot instead. And it looks like it's going to be a big plot. It's also a first time in terms of we're getting a Resident Evil game that's going to be a big focus on the mystery itself and figuring out that mystery. That's not to say that there's not mysteries in other games. There are. But this feels like a murder mystery. Like, we're playing a character that's investigating her mother's death, and she's going to be thrown into some sort of conspiracy that's going to lead her potentially to Raccoon City. Or maybe it's another character. Maybe it's Leon that comes back to Raccoon City. I don't know. We have no idea until we get more news on this game. Obviously, we're going to have to wait till Gamescom, because that's when we're going to get official gameplay, apparently. But it looks like it is going back to the beginning. Why? What emphasis is there in terms of the beginning? What can they tie into there? The only thing I can think of is something to do with maybe Spencer or something. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It would be amazing if they brought Albert back somehow, but I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. We have to wait for more info. But yeah, this was a good first teaser. It's interesting, like I said, that they're tying this to Outbreak with Alisa's character. Big prediction here. Maybe this creature with the shackles, whatever, ends up being revealed as a mutated Alisa, maybe. And you've got the daughter having to kill her own mother, perhaps. Which wouldn't be out of the realm of impossibility, because we've had that kind of concept before with Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles, with Operation Javier, with Manuela fighting her infected mother. So maybe this is a similar case, maybe. I don't know. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this. I'm intrigued at going back to Raccoon City. I'm intrigued with the tie-in to Resident Evil Outbreak. Because this does feel like it's a huge sequel to Outbreak, just because of that connection with Grace and Alisa. And it makes me wonder, like, with the whole talk of this game being open world, I'm wondering maybe it's obviously not going to be open world. I'm wondering if this is a case of it's inspired by Outbreak's, scenarios. Each Outbreak game had 5 scenarios. And they were massive, they were big, and you had to do your own thing. So I'm wondering if this game is basically sort of a globe-trotting adventure throughout America, and you're going to specific places. You're going to have the hotel as a set piece. You're going to have Raccoon City as a set piece. And obviously there's going to be other set pieces as well. And each of those areas are going to be these large, big areas that you're going to be able to explore and investigate in that. And yeah, and maybe you get the choice of which areas you go to first. Maybe you get the choice of what story you progress first, and then it all crosses over and ties together at certain points. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very hyped. I was not expecting this at all. Like, this is not the game that I've been reading up on for like the last year or two. Like, this is completely different to what I thought we were gonna get. And pretty much the majority of all the leakers have been incorrect. Like, and also it makes me wonder when did this version of this game start developing? You know, if you believe Dusk is BS, this game started development in 2022, like this version specifically, I think, because he said that that Southeast Asian one was scrapped in 2020 or 2021, which means 2022 they would have picked this up and started rebuilding from scratch and doing the version that we got. But that's kind of crazy to throw all that crap away and then do this. How much of it have they kept over? How much have they brought back? How much? A lot of speculation. But yeah, at this point we can pretty much say for certain Lutix was lying. I'm not going to believe anything he says now. Dusk is on the spectrum, like I said. Like, he waited till last minute to reveal stuff, and even then it was like very obvious or very simple stuff. Andy is the one I'm excited for because he clearly knows a lot. He even said it. He knows a lot and he can't talk about it. Like, so it's like, damn, give us the leaks, man. Like, you clearly know something. We got to keep our eyes on him for now. Like, he's the credible leak. He's the one we got to keep our eyes on to wait and see if he breaks and gives us some info. But yeah, guys, that's my analysis for this trailer. And yeah, I can't wait to see more of this game. It's been a long time coming. We finally got the reveal. We can all relax, sit, and just enjoy the hype and build up to this. That's all I can really say. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, remember to like and subscribe. And I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and